Trevor's getting his ass kicked, but he is still fighting dirty. He does kick Alucard in the nuts again. And I guess vampires have, like, stone nuts because he doesn't react. We could talk all about how impenetrable vampire nuts are all day, but we got things we got to do.
I've seen a lot of things on the internet. I do not think vampires are impenetrable.
My Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough says they are not.
Welcome to Bible Boys, a podcast where two ex-evangelical siblings and an ex-Catholic non-sibling watch Christian media and either praise or condemn it. I'm Aaron.
I'm Josh.
I'm Michael.
This week, we start our descent into spooky season with the 2017 Netflix animated series, Castlevania. Before we ponder, what if Dracula was a wife guy? Please be sure to rate and review us on Apple Podcasts, like and comment on our video, and follow us on Twitter, I guess?
Yeah, we're still calling it Twitter. We're gonna dead name Elon Musk's app.
Well, we probably both have Blue Sky codes. Should we just set up a Bible Boys Blue Sky at this point?
Yeah, we should.
Okay, well, we'll figure that out at some point. Anyway, it's probably going to be at the Bible Boys. Anyway, Josh, we're doing Castlevania at your request.
I am beyond excited. I told the boys this was my fourth rewatch of this first season because these 4 episodes are chef's kiss. Aaron recently read a book from, like, a recommendation from me called The Shadow of the Gods, highly recommend. And at one point in your review, Aaron, you said, hey, this plot's a little weird, but a dude just showed up with a bone sword made from a god, so that's pretty neat. And that's what this series is all about, where every once in a while, the coolest, like, 4-minute action sequence will happen, and that rides enough high to get through some plot where they're just going.
Yeah, I think so. Here's the thing: I watched Castlevania rewatched Castlevania before I read Shadow of the Gods, and now that you frame it like that, because I written at the bottom of my Castlevania notes like, the fights were cool, but the plot was, But yeah, you know what? This is just a series that it's like, hey, what if I show you some sick-ass animated duels and make some very heavy-handed claims about the Catholic Church? Which, like, hey, I'm writing a book that's that, so, like, I don't know. I can't throw stones.
Well, it, like, very clearly is a video game series, right? Mm-hmm. Like, it watched like a video game series, and I kind of enjoyed that. There was something fun and light about it.
Out of curiosity, have either of you guys finished the series?
Yes.
No, I watched season 2, and that was it.
So I stand by that the series continues at this pace where there are just awesome sequences that make it worth everyone's while, and then it ends on such a fun, beautiful note that I think it's worth even the challenging points that the series does go through, because there is just kind of a wet paper towel of a story. But I'm just gonna overanalyze this entire first 4 episodes that is under 2 hours of content like we've never seen before, because I love this shit so much.
Yeah, do you want to just take us through the 4 episodes, and we'll chime in?
Yeah, so the show starts with a woman going up to this castle that, I mean, it's got to be on the cover of, like, Architects Hate Him, Building Planners Want to Be Him, because Dracula's castle is truly a sight. It's like if a skyscraper got stuck in another skyscraper. And this woman arrives at Dracula's castle and demands, in a very polite yet stern voice, that he has some manners and teaches her some medicine. And he goes like, I guess I could show you some stuff. We find out that her name is Lisa. And of course we have Vlad Dracula, who in this series is 6'12".
He's a big boy.
And he is stunning. And then we fast forward a little bit further into time, and we just see her burning at the stake, while a member of the Catholic Church is like talking some real shit about how this is awesome and that she was a witch. And Lisa, has a Jesus moment where she looks up and says, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do." Except in this case, it's "Forgive them, Dracula, for they don't know what they do." And
Forgive them, Daddy, basically.
Yeah.
We're not even going to get into whether or not Dracula should be canceled, because he's a timeless, immortal being, and she was like, what, 30? And that time, the age gap is problematic.
It's a little problematic.
Twitter's going to be...
You guys sound like the people on Am I the Asshole on Reddit. It's like, that's a 2.5 month age gap? What are you?
Fucking cradle robber, yeah. I think it's interesting, right? Because they are kind of aiming for like there is like a hints of a theme, right? They're talking about the trying to figure out the line between trusting humanity and what they're capable of understanding versus the worst of humanity and its impulses and what religion drives us to do, and they kind of it's very blunt about it. Like, she literally is just like, be better than them, please, and trying to like show that dividing line between the godlike Dracula with his magic floating castle, and barbaric humans who believe they are being led to do the right thing by their divine but ultimately primitive beliefs, which is it's fine. It accomplishes what it's trying to achieve.
We did kind of skim over what I think is the best line in the series, because it's very clearly a Twilight reference where she goes, "I know what you are."
You gotta slip one Twilight reference into every piece of vampire
that
media.
happens at the end of this too with Alucard. So
Yes.
like father, like son, I suppose.
We'll get to it, but there's something about the Tepes family, the Dracula's entire line, of just the sluttiest pants. Just like they're amazing. But what we see from Dracula I find very compelling, because he starts by walking up to his burnt house, where a woman comes up and is like, "Your wife's dead, but she was nice. Sorry about that." And we see him crying blood, which is a trope that I love. And he says the line that she said, "If you were going to love me like a man, you should travel the world like a man." So I did, slowly. And then he catches fire and is like, "I'm no longer going to do that." And for the rest of the series, we get to see Dracula not as a being, but as two sides: the most depressed sad boy ever, or the devil. And I love that.
Yeah, he's either really beat up, or he is appearing in the skies in like a cloud of blood and bats,
So
which
boys,
is very good.
I got a question for you. Do we think that it might have been a little fucked up of him to play right into the church's hands by using devil imagery? Because he goes and he's like, "You guys killed my wife," in the face of a demon, and is like, "I'm gonna bring the hell upon you." Or do you think that he was doing that on purpose?
I think it's like a Doja Cat in Paint the Town Red, where she's like, "All right, if everyone's gonna say I'm, consorting with the devil, here's the devil, bitch."
Very Lil Nas X, yes.
But he says, 1 year's time, I'm going to kick off your asses. And then he then goes back to his sad boy hours where he's crying. And I like Dracula as a villain. I think he's the reason this show works. Because the fact that he is just a depressed, puddle and has no fight really left in him in some of these moments. And we see this more with the second season, which I highly recommend people watch. And then someone shows up and is like, maybe we don't kill everyone. And then we see Dracula beat the shit out of that person, who will show up later. But it's then that we finally are introduced to Trevor, who is one of the big three of the series. And Trevor Belmont is a very drunk, kind of like swashbuckling figure. He loves to kick people in the nuts. He's not great at his job anymore, and his whole family was killed because the people in the church turned against him. What do you guys think of Trevor as our leading man?
I mean, he's a Han Solo, right? He is a lovable scumbag. You know, he achieves what he's supposed to do. He's fine.
He is, in my opinion, the weakest written of the main three. And I think that continues throughout the series. Unfortunately, we get very little of the best written of the three, in my opinion, but we do get some of my favorite character, the second best written, later on, so.
Yeah, I like Trevor as an idea, and I think the show does as well, because they're trying to get, with all of our three main characters, that they are rejected by the church. All of them for different reasons. And his was because of their line of work, that they were vampire hunters.
Because he was a Knight Templar, basically.
100%. And I like this broken character, and I also love the whip as a weapon.
Yeah, that's an important bit. I've never played any Castlevanias, but I assume you play as Trevor Belmont in Castle or Simon Belmont.
There's a billion.
He's in what's the fucking game? Smash, right? Is he in Smash?
I wish we had fans that animated, because I'd love an animation of Aaron wandering around an empty void going, "Is he in Smash? Smash, is he in Smash?"
Anyway, but like that's, I feel like that might be one of the reasons why he is kind of a nothing character, is because he is just truly like the person you're supposed to project yourself onto, which is why, you know, his fights are cool, right? That, like you said, the whip is a very cool weapon, you know, in contrast to the many like spears and like daggers and shit. It's very flashy. He does cool flips. But yeah, I think that is important to like Michael said earlier, you know, this is a very video gamey adaptation, and unfortunately that hurts Trevor as a character.
Oh, we didn't even get to talk about so
yeah, do you want to talk about when Dracula does show up?
Yes, so the city is throwing a party, of course, because they're like, we beat the devil, and they bring the archbishop out, who is a big old man with long fingernails. In my analysis here, he has long fingernails to indicate that he doesn't do hard work, because that's why his fingernails would grow long. And also because it's creepy looking. And the archbishop is giving a big speech about how the devil sucks ass and can't do shit, and come at him, and he dares Dracula to get him, while the sky is turning red, and it starts raining blood and demon fetuses.
Which, you know, it's a little much, but it's fun.
It's so much, and I love the concept of Dracula getting out of this depressive stupor by planning the grossest possible day. Like, where do you get that many demon fetuses?
You know, going back to the thing that we were talking about how, you know, whether or not is Dracula taking on, you know, a Satan iconography for the bit, or because he's really truly the devil. Like, I mean, he does say he needs a year to like prepare an army from hell, so it's like, I mean, you kind of have to. There's probably a little bit more going on here than him just reading into church lore, especially with the demon fetuses and demon armies. But yeah, I really like this bit. You know, I think especially Dracula's like castle, I think is really cool. I like another touchstone I'm thinking of is the Order 1888. Which is, you know, like this like steampunk thing, but like I kind of love when you put like kind of like industrial era like Nikola Tesla's, you know, looking devices in like a medieval setting, because it's like, oh, this is what the future looks like, you know, to those people, whereas that's retro to us. I kind of like that contrast. So like when his big fuck off castle shows up and it's like all, you know, magic and like lit up with electric lights, I think that's really cool. That also happens later on when they go down into the Watchers like dungeon and it has electric lights. That's cool. But But yeah, ultimately, I think the sequence is really cool. Obviously there's the demons that come and kill everyone. But I do just love, like, they're going for their themes very bluntly. Like the archbishop, when the cathedral like window breaks and it just like cuts the archbishop in half, and it's like, okay, they're trying to say something here, I think.
And then Dracula speaks to his little group of demons in a giant cloud of bats. Mm-hmm. And at one point he's like, go kill them for the hell that I now live in because I'm sad. It's just so... The voice actor for Dracula just consumes every single scene he is in. He was fighting like that rent check was coming the next day that he had to pay.
Mm-hmm.
So we've got Trevor Belmont. He makes his way into a city that is decorated with the heads of people tied together by intestines. And the only reason I mention that is because I'm not very good at medicine stuff. But wouldn't you get like a lot of intestines out of one person?
I think... I don't, like, this isn't like a fact, but I think you're looking at 20 feet of intestines, like just in an average, adult human. So yeah.
And you're not getting that many heads out of a people.
Right.
So like that means at some point that one of the little demon guys walked up with some intestines and another demon went, no, we're good, take it down. You can throw that one out.
They had restraint.
And that's what I respect. But Trevor's...
also, this city is Greshit, by the way, who the bishop who becomes an antagonist. He is the bishop of Greshit.
Yes, so we have Greshit. Trevor sneaks in through the sewer and starts talking to the different people to find out what they think. Some of the people are like, God, the church sucks. But most of the people are like, you know what's really causing this? The speakers. And Trevor's like, yeah, the speakers. My theory is that Trevor doesn't know anything and lies about it every single time. Someone is like, oh, you've heard of us before. He's like, oh, yeah. But Trevor eventually finds a couple of priests with knives attacking an old man who is a speaker. And Trevor kicks their ass by using his whip to rip a dude's eye out. I don't know how whips work. I don't think it's like that. I loved the animated sequence, though. Go ahead.
I mean, you probably could do it. Not to get too gross, but like, there's a tether in the eye, so like there would be a lot of resistance you'd have to like pull.
Watch my brother squirm.
Okay, yeah. I think it's more just for the show. I think it's kind of a silly fun thing. I don't think it's very realistic. Yeah, I think Castlevania is not realistic. You can quote me on that.
Get him, Cinema Sins.
Ding.
I thought it was a historical fiction. What are you talking about?
Welcome to the grossest fact or cap ever. Aaron has the whip. And the speaker invites Trevor back to hang out with him. Turns out these speakers are a group of traveling individuals. They don't have like a religion similar to like Christianity. Their whole thing is memorizing stories and passing them on.
I mean, they're Romani, right? Like this is a clear Roma stand-in, right? And I'm glad they're not going with the fucking his dark materials route and just using the slur, which is cool. But it is still playing on tropes of like, okay, it's a nomadic people with like quote unquote mystical powers, which is like, I don't know how to feel about it.
I did a little bit of research about it because I also my gut reaction was like, oh, this is definitely like Roma inspired, and apparently a lot of fans, especially Jewish fans, find relation to it. And we also see this with the use of the word pogrom later, because Trevor's like, hey, they're going to kill you. They're going to do a pogrom, which is when Jewish people were killed in Eastern Europe and Russia, due to Christians getting really angry about, very similar things of like, they're causing the destruction. So
This
I
does
found that
also take
interesting.
place in 1476 or something. So like that, I like that read. That makes sense to me.
I found that very interesting as well because at so many points they're like they don't follow like Christianity or like they don't follow the church.
Right.
And we get a character later that has some great lines about the church later on. But it turns out that the reason they don't want to leave, even though the city hates them, is because one of their members is not there. It's the leader's grandchild. We also see that the speakers are not big fans of violence, and they are big on keeping stories alive, and they don't want to write them down. The speaker.
The trouble I have with the speaker arc here is just like they are kind of just like there's good in everyone. Like the line that I think the grandpa says is like it's not dying that frightens us, it's living without ever having done our best, which I think is like a very cornball thing to say. Which like again, right? This is kind of a cheesy show. But that is kind of another part where the writing suffers for me. It's like, okay, great, yeah, these are people who, they're anti-violent, but also they have magic powers.
Trevor agrees to help them out to get the body back of this lost member. He goes down in the Underdark. Apparently they were looking for this sleeping savior, this messiah that was going to save them. And Trevor gets down there and fights a big Cyclops. And apparently help.
Cyclops? Are you trying to find the
Plural.
the plural?
Girl.
Cyclopses, is what I would say.
It's like Attorneys General Cyclops.
There we go.
The Cyclops are also Gorgons because they will turn you into stone.
Right.
But he kills the Cyclops by throwing his dagger in the air while it spins, and then he kicks it so it goes into the Cyclops' eye.
Yeah, it's
there
good.
were so many different universes where he just sliced his foot off and then died there, but we got the one good universe. And that's where we're introduced to our second of our big three. Michael, I'm sure this is your favorite character. Would you like to introduce us?
Yeah, this is Sypha. She is a speaker and is the elder's grandchild. She's a great character that, in my opinion, only gets better. She has limited chances to shine in this very short 4-episode intro, but I think she kind of steals some scenes.
Also, we get the reveal that she's a girl. Whoa!
Mm-hmm.
You heard about this? You guys heard about women? It's crazy.
I've heard of them.
Wild.
I've heard the rumors. So we've got a little team up. I'm going to try to go through the rest of this a little bit quicker. So Trevor and Sypha go back to the speakers. Trevor is taken by the church to go talk to the new archbishop, who turns out the new archbishop is the dude who organized the burning of Lisa. And I think the show tries to really demonstrate that this dude believes this wild shit. And I think that the show has even though it's got a very, not very deep, a very shallow message, the one part I think it touches well is that zealotry is very dangerous. And that it's more dangerous to deal with someone who actually believes this shit than someone just kind of hopping on because it's the safest way to travel. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
And the archbishop pretty much says, yeah, I'm going to kill all the speakers. You need to get out of here. And apparently he thinks that he is going to be the last bit of the church standing. Because Trevor goes and says, like, I'm excommunicated. You can't change that. And the archbishop is pretty much like, just wait. Everyone else is going to be dead. And that's bold. That's one way to climb up with your job. Just wait out everyone else and let Dracula pick them off.
Yeah, it's the designated survivor route.
Eventually, statistically, the rest gotta go. And Trevor goes back to the speakers and is like, "You guys should all leave," and they were like, "But we don't. But we don't want to though." And they guilt trip him into
Yeah, I
being a
didn't
good
quite
guy.
get that.
I think they were trying to imply that they do believe that the like Messiah figure was still down there, and I think that's what they,
Mhm.
because later on they say that like stories are important for the future, and that was some sort of like prophecy almost. But they don't do a good job at telegraphing that here. And by not a good job, I mean a very bad job. But there's a fun little showdown between the church coming to kill all the speakers, but Trevor was too good and he hid all of them in the Cyclops corpse room, which I'm assuming that's just what they call that now. And he fights off the church guards and does it in some very Looney Tunes-esque ways. Dancing around, physics don't make any sense. He pulls a rope, an entire house collapses. It's wonderful.
Is this where we see Sypha like starting to use magic? It's pretty impressive.
Yeah, she just
I
fucking
thought pretty well.
firewall around everyone and Trevor, and Trevor's like, "Uh-oh, I like her." Uh-oh.
Uh-huh.
But this is where we start the tradition of Sypha getting shit done. While the boys are busy, Sypha is getting shit done. And she is the most powerful character, in my opinion, other than, like, Dracula.
Yeah, for sure.
But Trevor does something very cool here, and this is why I like him as a hero, is he points to the priest that is very clearly doesn't believe this shit, that just has, like, used this to, like, rise up the ranks. He's like, "You fight me. If you are going to make other people fight and die, why are you not doing that?" And he's able to convince the townspeople to just completely turn their back on this guy, and they shish kebab him. They turn him into Julius Caesar, and then the demons attack.
Mm-hmm.
And the scene that made me want to do this is the scene of the demon coming to the Archbishop.
Yeah,
That
I mean,
was-
of all the scenes in all of Castlevania, I think this is the best.
So the Archbishop is sitting there, blood red sky behind him. The door opens, and he's like, "Did you kill the speakers?" And this deep voice just goes like, "Nope, didn't do it." And he's like, "Oh, we got to do that before the sun goes down, because everything gets hotter when the sun goes down." That is a reference I didn't know I still had in me. And the demon goes like, "Oh, well, the sun's already down there, bud, because I'm a demon." And it's got these bright blue fangs. And
He looks so weird compared to like the relative normalcy of all the rest of the show. Like the glow and like the color scheme is so different. I think the demons are very well designed.
And the Archbishop's like, "You can't be here. This is a house of God." And the demon just straight up goes like, "This has not ever been a house of God. God hates you."
I wanna read the demon's lines because they're really good. He says, "God is not here. This is an empty box." And then the bishop responds, "God is in all his churches." And the demon responds, "No, your God's love is not unconditional. He does not love us, and he does not love you." And the bishop's like, "This is my life's work." And the demon says, "Your life's work makes him puke." And that's pretty good.
The scene does end with the demon going, "But we like you, because you brought us into this world. Let me give you a little kiss." And he actually says that.
Yeah, that part's stupid, but what are you gonna do?
So here's the part that I think is actually awesome about this. Because I think the implication here that the scariest thing to fanatics is not that they're wrong and there is no God, but it's that they're right and they did it incorrectly. That there is a God and that God is mad at you because you fucked it up. And that's why I think Dracula does all this shit. I think he knows that he is playing a part, and it just, that scene just is so fucking awesome.
It's like a hint of what's to come in the series because I think the writing does get better as the series goes on.
For sure.
And I don't know, I found it to be like, yes, that's what kept me hanging around.
There's also this, like, this energy to Dracula as a villain, I do want to point out, and it's only something that you get on rewatching this shit way too many times, but later into the series, way later, like season 3, one of the dudes who helps summon demons summons a demon that can speak, and it's a big deal, and it's like only one in so many demons can do it. And I love the idea of Dracula going around, going to demons, being like, hey, you good at talking? No, your voice isn't right. I need one that's deeper and scarier. Because he would do that, because he lives for the drama. So our heroes organize a fun little resistance moment. I love D&D shit, and this is D&D shit all over. Because they're freezing holy water so the demons can't touch ice walls even though they can fly. They're organizing into military formations that are
they
only
have a pike square. I was like, oh, hell yeah, let's go.
Did it bug you that it was only 6 people, though?
I did. I remember, because I watched this in 2017 when it first came out. I remember thinking it was so sick. And then I watched it again this year. I was like, this is what dog shit pike square. There's nobody here.
Aaron and I have matured a lot in the past 6 years, where now we look at this and go, man, they're going to flank you guys, no problem.
Like, truly, the demons could just fly. Like, the demons could just fly.
And this is another huge issue, and CinemaSins, keep count at the score, because this is a big one. That's a lot of salt for a 1400s Eastern European city not near the ocean. That's a lot of salt.
That's probably expensive. They're just throwing buckets of salt at them. Like, y'all gotta save that shit.
Listen, if it turned out that like demons burnt when they touch saffron, I don't think I could get that much saffron today. I'd go to Walmart and get like a handful, and I'd get arrested for grand larceny. But our heroes are able to beat back the demons. But then the floor collapses, and Trevor and Sypha fall into a big hole.
It's truly the most video gamey shit. Just like, we need to get them to the last part of the arc. How do we do that? Teleportation. They're there now.
I swear to God, they drew and wrote like 16 scenes, and they were like, all right, yeah, these are awesome. We should release them as like maybe like little shorts on YouTube. And someone's like, oh no, it's gonna be a show. And they're like, oh, we gotta connect them.
Like a full show?
Honestly, Josh, that's a great insight. I'm thinking a lot about the Pokemon shorts, right? Where it's just like cool scenes of like, individual little battles. I think, honestly, that would have worked way better than at least this first season. I know you all have seen the other ones, and they seem to have better connective tissue. But yeah, it does seem like this should have just been like a series of 10 5-minute action sequences.
This might be a deep cut. Do either of you guys ever watch the old Star Wars animated stuff that looks like Samurai Jack?
Oh yeah, 100%. I think I've brought this up during one of our D&D games, actually. But yeah, this is the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars, the animated series, which fucking owns, by the way.
But it's very similar energy of like, it's just on, it just goes. It like, we're just droids are flying and burning and boof. Similar energy to what I think this could have been. But they fall into a big hole. Again, Sypha gets shit done, because Trevor's like, let me give her a little hug, and then she does wind magic to make sure they don't splat. And then they realize that they're in a deeper part of the area than they were before, and they stumble upon a coffin with 2 red vats in the background. And
normal stuff so far.
And a blonde man with just the sluttiest waistline that you've ever seen raises out of a coffin with a giant sword.
He's fucking Sephiroth. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. This is a Sephiroth.
And Trevor immediately is like, fuck, it's a vampire. But Sypha's like, oh shit, the Messiah, that's cool. Are you the Messiah? And the dude is just fully, I don't know. I think Alucard's a little sexist, because he is just not interested in Sypha even a little bit.
No, this is the most homoerotic fight I've seen in a long time.
It might be the most homoerotic fight we've covered in Bible Boys.
Ooh.
Probably. We've watched a lot of was gonna say, I think God's Not Dead probably has a couple more charged moments.
Adam Driver versus the ocean in Silence was pretty homoerotic. The ocean did win. But yeah, so Trevor Belmont's like, I know what you are.
Yeah, this is Twilight again.
And the boys go fighting, and it's awesome. This
is my favorite fight scene in the show.
It's I think my third favorite overall throughout the entire series. Like, this is so fucking good. All of their abilities, Alucard's sword just grows in length. So he uses it in a very... it's hard to say that and it doesn't sound homoerotic. He uses his extendable sword in really fun and creative ways. And Trevor's
he's also only ever using it one-handed, which I think is very cool. He just he does not need to use his second hand. He's just kind of owning Trevor like it's like child's play, which I think is a very fun way to show how strong he is.
And Trevor straight up thinks this is Dracula. And I've got another question for you, boys. Do you think that this would have been more interesting if we didn't know whether or not that was Dracula?
No, because then you'd have to conceal Dracula, who is the best character in this program.
Yeah.
Yeah, it because I was watching it and I'm like, not a lot of tension in this, but it does look awesome, and that kind of gets it through. But we get some awesome Trevor's getting his ass kicked, but he is still fighting dirty. He does kick Alucard in the nuts again, and I guess vampires have stone nuts because he doesn't react. We could talk all about how impenetrable vampire nuts are all day, but we got things we got to do.
I've seen a lot of things on the internet. I do not think vampires are impenetrable.
My Baldur's Gate 3 playthrough says they are not.
Oh, man. If you replace Alucard with Asterion, this is very different energy.
They're not that different.
So, towards the end of the fight, Alucard pins Trevor down, flashes his fangs, and says, "I could rip your throat out." And meanwhile, Trevor has a knife or stake, it doesn't really show, in his guts or chest. Again, doesn't really... somewhere. And then Sypha shows up and is like, I'm also, incredibly talented and gifted, and I'm just going to blow your fucking head off with a fireball. And that's where we get the reveal of Alucard being like, Mr. Dracula was my father. Call me Alucard. I want to kill my dad because my mom was cool. And they were like, yeah, I mean, good enough for you, good enough for me. Let's do this. Let's get this throuple going. And that's where it ends with them, we get a fun little group shot. Alucard unfortunately puts on a shirt, and the trio go marching out to go kick Dracula ass. And I love this fucking show. I've shit on it a lot. This is still an 8.5 out of 10 for me.
Right. I think that for all my criticisms of the writing, it's still fundamentally doing what it wants to, which is to put a bunch of cool fights in there and have some relatively fun characters. And I think it's doing what it wants to achieve. I guess I don't know. I've lost a lot of respect for Netflix over the past 6 years. So I don't know where this ends, but I like this so much more in 2017. I think that I watching it again was a little bit disappointing, unfortunately, which I don't think is fair to the show.
Yeah, I think having watched all of it, and this being my first rewatch of season 1, I kind of left a little surprised that I stuck with all of it, frankly. And liked it as much as I did, because seasons 2 through 4 to me are just great animation television. Just pretty solid. Love the storytelling, love the actual animation style. I have a lot of fun with it. And this, it showed its age.
It's so funny because this, I think won't make sense for people who haven't watched the rest of the show. But all of our complaints about like the story just really like barely exists, and a lot of the writing is weird. I almost feel like they overcorrect in the next few seasons. We're like, you want some fucking stories? You want stories? Here's 18. 3 of them matter. 1 of them's good. And it's it's a lot. And the one story that's good is really good, and it pulls through for the rest. But there's a huge overcorrect after this.
Yeah. And I mean, they do introduce my actual favorite character, Carmilla, which we love a toxic queen.
I guess we do. Oh, we also get introduced to my fiance's favorite character next season, who makes Dracula look downright cheery.
Is it bad that I know who it is?
Yeah, I was gonna let you guess, but it wouldn't be fun because you just would say the name. But yeah, I love this show. I like the concepts behind it, and I do also like its message on like fanaticism and zealotry, because we even get to see that with our Reddit atheist Dracula, of, you know, it's all bad, burn everything down, look what they've taken from me, it can't be good anywhere. And we see the heroes kind of show this, I hate what I'm about to say, enlightened middle path, the centrist of it all. It's just something I don't believe in politically, but I think.
And now Josh is about to announce their candidacy for the Green Party. Congratulations!
Just sick and tired of the left and the right, and by that I mean just the left, because it's what they always mean. But yeah, I love this. I love it. I love its message on religion, which is that the Catholic Church is bad. I think my dad would love it because he thinks the Catholic Church is bad. I think
such a simple distillation, but also just not untrue.
I think my dad would watch it and he'd be like, you know, them Catholics, they do that. Us Protestants,
this Dracula fellow raises a good point.
Us Protestants, we'd never burn people for being witches. We would never do that. But I appreciate you boys letting me introduce a spooky season episode that doesn't hurt me.
Well, don't worry, Josh, because as we are getting back into the swing of things, there'll be plenty of time for things to hurt us.
God damn it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just more Castlevania, right, Michael? Right, Michael?
Nope.
Yeah, so listeners, keep an ear out for Michael's Spooky Season, our annual tradition where Michael gets to choose several horror movies and ruin me and Josh's month of October. So that'll be coming up in the future. But right now, I think we should probably rate Castlevania.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I'm going to give this one a Brian Greene 5 stars.
I'm going to give this one Pope Innocent the 10th, which is number 82 on the Deadspin list.
I'm going to give this 4 out of 5 fangs because there aren't enough vampires and I want more of my favorite characters, but it's a fun time.
Wow, speaking of overcorrecting in season 2.
Yeah, well, folks, when we are not, gearing up for either spooky season or to just generally be horny for vampires, where can we be found on the internet?
I'm at Green History on the burning garbage pile of Twitter.
Yeah, I'm at that green light on Twitter or green light on Blue Sky.
So I'm at AaronSXL on Twitter, but I don't have it on my phone anymore. So I check it like once a day. I'm mostly at aavoigt.bluesky.social or Monster Factory Fanfic at Tumblr. I also do another podcast that is probably going to be a hiatus for a little bit more, but that's Mortified the Friendship Quest, wherein me and my friend Layla talk about media that we think is neat. I also do tabletop game reviews. I will hopefully have a big video coming out here in the next couple of days or weeks about Heart, the City Beneath by Rowan Rook and Deckard, and Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer, with a sprinkling of Friends at the Table in there. So if that sounds interesting to you, check that out at aavoigt on YouTube. But yeah, those are all the places you can find me. And just generally speaking, if you all were weeping because you were so sad that we were gone for so long, just remember that it is okay to cry because even Jesus wept. We'll see you all next time.